At Cynthia Rogers, MD Dermatology, we specialize in providing comprehensive, expert care for the full spectrum of skin conditions, from complex skin diseases and skin cancer to aging concerns and aesthetic needs. With decades of combined experience in medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology, our team brings both deep clinical knowledge and a patient-first approach to every visit. Our practice focuses on developing personalized treatment plans tailored to each individual's skin, health, and life stage. We're located in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in the PSL Professional Center. Learn more or schedule a visit at floridaskindoctor.com.
Steel Graphics and Designs creates custom racing wraps and logos built for the real world and iRacing. From bold liveries to clean, professional branding, every design is made to perform on and off the track. Ready to upgrade your look? Contact Steel Graphics and Designs for custom wraps. Visit Steel Graphics and Designs on Facebook to learn more.
Backed by 70 years of experience, Duncan Water Systems specializes in commercial and residential water system testing, design, installation, and maintenance. Our mission at Duncan Water Systems is to provide high-quality water solutions to every customer. We pride ourselves on being responsive, honest, and customer-oriented. Our priority is safer water for you and your family. Contact us via call, text, email, or visit us at duncanwatersystems.com.
Top of the evening, everyone, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Tonight, the FloridaSkinDoctor.com Racing Series heads to the recently repaved Rockingham Raceway for race number 9 of the season. Just 4 races left until we start that chase for the championship, and tonight we will bring you all the action live right here on VSPEED for the VSPEED 150. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Daniel Cunningham. Alongside me in the booth is the boss man, Adam Baker, and the cameras courtesy of Dougie Beard. And Adam, it's going to be a good one here tonight. We've got a pretty good racetrack here. I don't think I've actually seen the next gens at Rockingham since they've done the repave on it. So a little bit of unknown here. How you feeling getting into this one tonight?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a welcome change that this is the newer version of Rockingham. These guys in the next gens would have had a tough time, I think, on the old version with all the bumps and bruises that old track and surface had. But some of that character is still here in this newer, version, this repave of the racetrack. We were talking about it, I think, last week at the end of the broadcast. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they do out here, and some of the common names up at the top of the board already in qualifying going to be contenders here tonight.
Yeah, we'll see if anybody is able to unseat Adam Cabot, who has already established himself as the early season favorite here. and see if anybody can get their name up on that win board. Let's take a look at the track details here for this evening with Rockingham Raceway. You see, this track's been around for a while, since October 31st of 1965. The length is always interesting to me because it measured at 1 mile, but when they did the repave on it, apparently they remeasured it and it's slightly under a mile. So I guess that maybe they measured it from a different point. I don't know. But for right now, we're still going to say it's a 1 mile track. 22 to 25 degrees of banking in the turns. It's a little bit different on each end of the track between turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And, even though this is the repaved, updated version, one of the things that I love that NASCAR did when they repaved this track is they were able to keep a lot of character in it. You talked about those bumps, Adam. They were actually able to keep a lot of those bumps in character while just putting down the new pavement. So these drivers still going to be fighting that here this evening. And another little wrinkle to this race is the cars do have the short track package. So less downforce, more horsepower, just like they have in real life at the short tracks and road courses in NASCAR. It's going to make for an interesting one tonight.
Yeah, definitely will be a lot of fun to watch them battle out here in the high horsepower. Like you said, going to be another challenge on top of, an already tricky race car at a track like this one. Let's pull up the points coming into tonight's race. Adam Cabot with a lead in the standings, starting to grow a little bit more now, up to 16 points over Seth Hatchell. Braxton DeWeese, a race winner this season, back there in third in the standings, just a few behind Seth Hatchell. Bailey Turner right there as well, starting to climb up through after he had missed, I believe, a couple of races. Keith Mayato into the top 5. So some of these guys, past champions and multi-time race winners, climbing to the top of the standings as the season has progressed. But a few like James Loveland jumped up a bunch of positions after last week's race with a really strong run, and a handful of others starting to climb into the top 12, and some other drivers starting to slip further behind. So that cut line still is not out of reach for a lot of these guys, but only a handful of races left.
Yeah, still just 15 points separates the first driver out and the last driver in between Alan Dice and Jake Mockey there. Doesn't look like, I don't see Jake Mockey's name on the board so far here this evening. So maybe a little bit of a shakeup there. These drivers do have the 2 drop races, as you see there at the top of the standings. So even if you miss a race at this point, not necessarily the end all be all. It's not going to end your chances of getting into that chase. So it'll automatically drop your 2 lowest point totals, even if that is a miss. So some of these drivers still with a good shot of working their way up into that 12 driver championship field. But Adam, they have got their qualifying runs done, and we have a grid set for the race here this evening. Starting on pole tonight for the VSPEED 150, this shouldn't come as a shock if you've been following along throughout the season. Adam Cabot on pole with a 23:057, puts down a really fast lap. Keith Mayato going to be starting to his outside, also puts down a really fast lap, just 4/100ths of a second between the top 2 for the pole here this evening. Starting on row number 2, it's going to be Braxton DeWeese in the 00, Noah Mahalski in the 03 to his outside, P4. Starting in 5th, Chris Samard. Bailey Turner will roll off from the 6th position here this evening. In 7th will be Seth Hatchell, another driver that's had a really strong start to the season here. James Loveland to his outside in 8th. Rounding out your top 10, Angelo Ronas in 9th, and Eric Hutton taking that final spot in the top 10.
Alan Dice is going to roll off 11th in the Shadow Planet machine. Dennis Faircloth, the number 83, will start from 12th here tonight. Cody Adkins going to start from the 13th position in the 55 machine. Michael Jones rolling off from 14th. Starting in 15th tonight, it's Cody Maurer, Rob Liedl, the first car to not take a time, going to start from 16th position here tonight. Dallas Sullivan going to roll off 17th. Zach Smith starting in 18th. Paul Hahn starting in 19th. And rounding out your field of 20 drivers here at Rockingham is Jake Miller in the number 52.
20 drivers on the grid here for this race tonight. Just a few moments, they will be rolling off for the pace lap here to get this race underway. But let's take a quick look as well at our track conditions and our race analysis here for the evening. 96-degree track temp, partly cloudy, so that's going to continue to drop a little bit as we head through the evening. Got 150 laps on the board. Pit window anywhere between 100, or I'm sorry, between 70 to 80 laps rather for that pit window. Got 4 sets of tires available, 3 attempts at a green-white checker finish should we need them. So the pit window is going to be interesting to me because right smack dab in the middle of that would make it a one-stop race should this go green flag to flag. So going to be a little bit of a strategy game here as well for these drivers. And, just with the repave, the track having a decent amount of grip, track position is going to be pretty important here throughout the evening. So we'll see how those drivers balance that and how they decide to attack that strategy here this evening. But up front, it's going to be Adam Cabot, Keith Mayato on your front row. Lights are already off on the pace car. Just the one pace lap here this evening. Get everything gridded and underway. And it's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to this one, especially with the high horsepower package on these cars. It's going to put on a good show for us here this evening. Field has got the green flag, and we are underway from Rockingham. Already about your first 6 or 7 cars single filed out here, about the first 6 really. Seth Hatchell in 7th position, James Loveland in 8th. That's the first kind of side-by-side battle there, but now Braxton DeWeese is going to take a look to the inside of Keith Mayato to try to take away the 2nd spot. Adam Cabot, though, he leads already a half second over the rest of the field.
Yeah, showing some really good pace already in that 17 machine. And we didn't make our picks to who we think is going to win tonight's race, but he has been on a tear to start this season, and he is definitely one of the favorites.
Yeah, he'll absolutely be the favorite, really, until somebody gets up there and beats him and proves otherwise. I mean, he has just been on an absolute tear here at the beginning of this season, like you said. A little bit further back in the pack, Dallas Sullivan looking to the inside of Cody Maurer there for the 15th position. Sullivan going to be able to clear through. Zach Smith clears through as well, and that's Rob Liedl now looking to the inside. So a little bit of a struggle here early on for the 18 of Cody Maurer. It's like he's going to be able to stabilize and try to fight for that position with Rob Liedl, but actually, as I say that, Liedl able to complete the pass. So trending the wrong direction early on here for Maurer.
Yeah, not sure what's going on. He seems well off the pace of everyone else around him, so it could be a technical issue on his end as now Jake Miller takes a peek to the inside. And it is a tough corner to attempt to make a pass down there in 1 and 2, and it's tough to race side by side with those bumps. You do have multiple racing grooves here at Rockingham. This end of the racetrack, though, you can see tightens up really quickly for the car on the outside. The guy down low really needing to use more of the surface there, and that time not working out for Cody Maurer. He's going to fall to shotgun on the field here in 19th. Seth Hatchell just got passed up by Noah Mahalski, so change for position right there. Or rather, it was Hatchell getting past Chris Samard is up in front. It looks like Keith Mayato under attack from Bailey Turner.
Keith Mayato has slipped back a couple of spots now, so got to wonder if he might be trying to save a little bit of tire, just trying to play a long run game here. We know Keith Mayato always has plenty of speed on the long run, still rocking that Darlington throwback, little Z-Rex scheme on that car, but it's a good looking paint scheme, so can't say I blame him for that. But yeah, early on here, down 2 positions from where he started. Bailey Turner now up 3 from his original starting spot to ride on board with Keith Mayato. I'm going to be curious to see as we ride along here, are these drivers shifting? I feel like over in 3 and 4, you may not see it at all. If you do, it's going to be a little bit later in the run, but 1 and 2, you have to slow up just a little bit more. May see some drivers electing to utilize 4th gear on this end of the track, but for now, it looks like Keith is just riding it out in 5th gear the whole way around.
It was interesting. It sounded like they were hitting the top of the revs there about halfway down the front straightaway. I remember seeing some mention of that during the week leading up to, the race today. Some of the drivers saying that they were hitting the limiter, right there at the start-finish line. And I think that may be the case, this being the iRacing fixed setup. So definitely kind of limited by the setup tonight. in what the car is able to do down the straightaways, and you can see that there with Keith Mayato. As here comes Noah Mahalski, just a couple car lengths behind.
Yeah, Mahalski's showing a lot of speed here early on, starting to close in on the 36. Currently riding in that 4th position. He had lost a couple of spots on that initial start of the race, so even though overall he's down 1 spot, he's having a nice recovery early on here, just 11 laps into this race, and starting to close on Keith Mayato. And behind him, though, Seth Hatchell is starting to close as well. A little bit further back, you've got Angelo Ronas battling for position with Eric Hutton. You've got Dallas Sullivan here trying to track down Dennis Faircloth. So a lot of battles starting to close up early on here. Maybe some guys on different agendas trying to keep that tire wear in mind versus trying to maybe pick up some spots now and gain some track position.
Focused on Dennis Faircloth there because he was up by the outside wall running kind of the Kyle Larson line. Not something you traditionally see, the drivers do at this racetrack, but if he's finding some speed up there, it helped him to complete the pass on Dallas Sullivan. But right now going back to the bottom of the racetrack, and Dallas right there kind of running about a groove up from him, trying to get the clean air to the nose. James Loveland putting pressure on his teammate up here, 7th and 8th. That's Chris Samard, 77. And Chris gets in the wall just a little bit there off turn number 2. Very easy to do at this track.
Yeah, it really is. This track is just, it's so unique. There's not a good comparison for it to say what it races like. You can even see it here down the front straightaway. I don't know how we even call that a straightaway, because there's about 3 different little, I don't even want to call them turns. It's not a full turn. You're just kind of dancing with the wheel a little bit there down the straightaway. And even on that back straightaway, it's pretty unique with just how much banking it has and how much that exit of turn 2 narrows up. I think back to last season when we were in the ARCA car here at BTDY, and we saw a lot of drivers running into problems off the exit of 2. Even back when the Cup Series used to race here in real life, there's a pretty wicked bump in the middle of the back straightaway that every now and then you'd see some guys flip if they hit the wall and got into it at the right spot there. So, it's just, this track is such a beast. It's kind of like in a Darlington category, just that there's no good comparison. But we've got a yellow flag out on the track here. The 18 of Cody Mowers stopped up at the top of the track. We kind of documented the struggles that he was having early on there. That is going to bring out the caution here on lap 17. And yeah, he was full lockup trying to get into turn number 1 here. He's behind the 7 of Paul Hahn. And yeah, just gets on the brakes trying to keep it off of the 7. Loops around, gets down on the apron, and spins the rest of the way. So the struggle is real for the 18 tonight. And, we've seen him run up front at various points in the season, showing some speed. So definitely a little surprising to see the struggle like that out of him.
Yeah, it is a tricky racetrack, and it seems like something is off just, technically on his end, possibly. I'm not sure if he was figuring something out and then was starting to charge back forward. But, yeah, definitely big problems there. He'll go a lap down as well because of that, and won't be eligible for a lucky dog. So we'll see if he takes a wave around, but some damage on that race car. Is the field going to work to pit lane?
Yeah, this will definitely put everybody in a window where they can make it one stop to the end. Talked about that 70 to 80 lap window earlier, so this will definitely help the cause with that. Be interesting to see if we have any takers for maybe 2 tires, or if anybody elects to do fuel only to try to get some track position here. With the field working their way down to the pit boxes, and every single lead lap car does indeed pit on this caution.
Yeah, a little issue there for Braxton DeWeese getting into his box. He had to back up, maybe just a little bit too far to the right. And it looks like they're all taking 4 tires. Bailey Turner, nice pit stop there. He may just win the battle off. Going to be very tight. Looks like Adam Cabot being awarded the race lead for the moment. But a really nice job by Bailey Turner. A half second quicker on the pit stop there.
Yeah, they must have fueled up with a couple extra Coca-Colas before that stop for Bailey Turner's pit crew, because that was definitely the fastest one. Just looking down through the pit times here, 13.9 seconds in the box. Everybody else at least squarely in the 14-second, if not 15-second range. So, yeah, I don't know. I've never figured out how you get faster stops on iRacing, but I would have to assume there's definitely an art form or a science to it, depending on how you stop in the box and everything with that. And he definitely got it down on that one.
Yeah, really nice job by the team there. And Seth Hatchell, looks like he'll gain quite a few positions as well. Jumps up to 4th position. Keith Mayato, right where he was running pretty much in the 3rd spot. So a few positions changing hands within the top 5, but definitely impressive by Bailey Turner and crew. Adam Cabot retaining that race lead, though. Is he gonna? So he picks the outside here.
Yeah, taking the outside lane. I like the call just to have the momentum off of turn 2 if you're still side by side after they get through the initial restart zone and everything here. So see how it works out for him and see if he's able to retain that lead. Pace car is off the track, getting ready to go back green here. Really good oh no, he spins the tires. He had a good launch at first, but then Adam Cabot spins the tires, and that is going to allow Bailey Turner to get through for the race lead. Keith Mayato was taking a look there, almost able to work his way up, but now he's going to look to the outside of Turner over 3 and 4. Seth Hatchell still in the 3rd position. Looks like Turner down on the bottom is going to be able to clear, but Mayato still fighting tough on the outside.
They carried that momentum from the top groove, but not going to work for him. I think on this end is Turner able to clear, but Keith may have a good shot to send it down into turn number 3. He took a little different approach on the previous run, but now with a clear shot to clean air, looked like he went a little bit more aggressive on that first lap, but maybe he'll settle in here in 2nd, and we'll see what Bailey's able to do with the clean air now.
Bailey Turner, a driver that, I mean, he's sitting in 4th in points. He's had a good season, but not quite the level of dominance that we're used to seeing out of him in these series that he races in. So, but he's up at the front now. Adam Cabot trying to work his way back up through the pack here. Looking to the inside of Seth Hatchell for the 3rd position. Hatchell doing a nice job holding on to that for now. And, you know, Adam, I think that tire spin on the restart, I think we can pretty well trace that back to this being the higher horsepower package at this track. I think if they were running the 650 or 670, whatever the normal one is, versus the 750, I don't think we see that tire spin like we did.
Yeah, it's possible he, just started a little too high on the, on the rev range there in the wrong gear or something as well. Not exactly sure, but when he went to shift, I think that's when the tire slipped out from underneath. But an extra 100 horsepower, like you said, that'll contribute, that's for sure. And this track, I think, notorious for difficult restarts, similar to some of the Atlantas and Las Vegases and some of those where you may have a slightly older surface or a bumpier, kind of rougher surface. I think it's still pretty tricky even on this repave. Oh, side by side. Chris Samard.
Side by side there, and it looked like maybe a little bit of contact there between Mahalski and Samard. Samard actually loses a couple spots in that exchange. Braxton DeWeese now on the back bumper of the 0-3, trying to find his way back up after he had that little miscue there on pit road. And yeah, may not have actually been contact. Samard may have just been loose there off of turn number 2. Very easy to do at this racetrack. And saw the tire smoke there. I didn't know if he got a little bit of help, but yeah, that looks like it was just loose on corner exit for the 77.
Yeah, some of those bumps on the corner exit can really upset the car. That's traditionally been the toughest part of Rockingham, is coming off turn number 2, similar to like a Richmond. It's a very different, and this is a much faster racetrack, but the layout and shape of it is sort of similar, but that turn 2 there, it's the transition from the banking up, and there's a couple bumps, and it can be pretty tough, and that's the case there with Chris Samard and Seth Hatchell. Adam Cabot still doing battle. Here's Noah Mahalski right to the back bumper. He's putting a ton of pressure on the 8 machine, now going to look to the inside.
Yeah, Mahalski showing a lot of pace here, and that camera angle that we saw with the cars going through turns 1 and 2, I mean, that just really shows how bumpy this surface still is, despite it being a repave. Got a caution out on the racetrack as Adam Cabot was looking to the inside of Keith Mayato. I believe Mayato still had the position when the yellow came out. That is the 2 of Michael Jones that is around here, putting us under the second caution of the evening. If I can take a look at this one on the replay, that's Paul Hahn there in the 7. Dallas Sullivan directly behind. I think we might see another instance of, loose on exit of 2. And when Michael Jones starts to hit those bumps, it just sends the car around. Dallas Sullivan getting caught up in that as well. But looks like the driver's pretty minimal damage aside from, well, at least for the 46, pretty minimal damage. Doesn't look like he hit anything there, but a little bit more contact between the 2 ahead.
Yeah, this will be a good view of it as the 2 car coming up off the corner. You see back end steps out, and then when he turns back to the right, just nothing that the 7 of Paul Hahn could do. The 2 car just kind of along for the ride once the car gets light in the rear. We saw that happen to Dallas in a couple of the previous races. Similar issue where when you turn back to the right in these Gen 7 cars, they don't really like it on an oval like this.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. That has been a little bit of a recurring theme here lately. So I'm sure Dallas Sullivan would like to just see them, quit spinning out in front of him, and he ain't got to worry about it. But it's been a bit of a rough go for that lately. But a couple of drivers coming down pit lane here. Little surprised to see Seth Hatchell give up his track position. And not only that, but he's taken tires here. I mean, there was only 13 laps since they last pitted, and a few of those under caution. So, a little bit of an interesting strategy call here for those drivers. And just taking a look, Seth Hatchell, Chris Samard deciding to come down pit road there. And aside from that, it looks like the only other drivers that came down are the drivers that were caught up in that caution. So Dallas Sullivan, Michael Jones, Paul Hahn, those are the only other drivers. But yeah, that's a little bit surprising to me just with how important track position is here.
Yeah, definitely not the strategy I would have picked probably at this point in the race, but they still have 2 additional sets of tires in the box, and we'll see where it goes from there.
One other thing that we'll see how this works out, Bailey Turner, your race leader, electing to take the high lane as Adam Cabot did on that last restart. And we know how that worked out. So I think we're getting ready to find out exactly what these drivers learned from that initial, or from the last restart rather. And we'll see if it's just an issue of maybe the car doesn't launch as well up in that high lane, or well, we'll see. We'll see. That's the only thing I can really say. There's a lot of speculating I can do on why it may or may not work, but Bailey Turner going to be the control car. Keith Mayato to his inside here on the front row in the restart zone. Green flag is out. And I'd venture to say that Bailey Turner learned a thing or two on that last restart, because he gets a great launch, able to easily clear through for the race lead and starting to pull away just a little bit from Keith Mayato. Adam Cabot up into the 3rd position, but DeWeese and Mahalski are side by side now for 4th.
Yeah, and this gets tricky here as they get towards the exit of turn number 4. The 03 way up the racetrack, 00, trying to keep a little air on the left rear quarter panel. They'll dive it down in, really tight racing there. And speaking of really tight, how about Adam Cabot just pushing his way through, and huge hit to the outside wall for Noah Mahalski. It is a tough place to race side by side, and they're trying to make it work. It did not work for the 03.
Yeah, that was a pretty solid hit to the right front of that car. So you got to worry about suspension damage, aero damage, a little bit of everything for the 03 of Noah Mahalski. Cue it up on the replay here. We were highlighting this battle between both him and Braxton DeWeese. And yeah, it's so hard to run side by side on corner exit. Ooh. It's tight on exit, and yeah, that was actually even a little bit harder than I initially thought it was. The right side tires lifting off the ground momentarily there. So couple of positions lost. Mahalski now back into 7th after that exchange. We'll see if he's able to continue on or if he continues to drop some spots. But Adam Cabot working his way back up to the race lead now. He is just a couple of car lengths behind teammate Bailey Turner, trying to get this lead back away.
Yeah, he has done an amazing job weaving through and making passes at a place that can be very tricky to do that. He is right on the back bumper, and the dirty air doesn't seem to be hindering him very much when he's riding this close. Bailey Turner's got to be feeling that pressure and knows that 17 is probably the car to beat here. And as long as he can keep him behind him, you know, he might still have a good shot at it here with this clean air.
Yeah, the clean air is definitely going to be the name of the game between these two. Battle for third heating up now between Keith Mayato and Braxton DeWeese. DeWeese still on that recovery from the pit lane miscue that he had, but showing a ton of speed here and just kind of the MO of that driver. I mean, just keeps the car clean, shows a lot of really good long run pace. Currently 21 laps in on tires right now. And speaking of tires, the 8 of Seth Hatchell, you know, we talked about that strategy call, whether it was the right call. He's already worked his way back up into the 9th position. So, you know, whether it's the tires themselves or whether it's just, you know, he's that much faster than some of these guys that he's around, and he's putting them to good use right now and working his way back up through the field.
Yeah, last time by, he was the 4th fastest car. Chris Samard was the 3rd fastest. Oh, and Chris gets into the wall after a big sidestep there at the exit of turn number 2. The car almost went around on him, and he hooked it back. And similar to what we saw from Michael Jones, where the car just kind of turned itself. I think that's what happened, and the wall saved him in that case. But damage now to the right side as he was putting down some really good lap times. Seth Hatchell now looking to complete the pass on Adam Cabot, or sorry, rather Angelo Ronis. And Adam Cabot up at the front has not been able to make any more progress. He's right on the back bumper of Bailey Turner.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how does Adam Cabot try to set this pass up, because, you know, we talked about and we documented how difficult it is to run side by side on the exit of turn 2. These drivers have talked about how pivotal clean air is in these cars. And actually, Bailey Turner now starts to pull away just a little bit here over his teammate. He's now got that lead back up to 0.4 of a second after Adam Cabot had closed in within just about a car length or so, but starting to fall back of Bailey Turner now. Braxton DeWeese kind of on an island there in 3rd position. It's kind of running along, no pressure from behind, no pressure out front. Got a couple of teammates here with James Loveland, Keith Mayato. Loveland showing a lot of speed here this evening, up 3 spots from where he initially started the race. And just another kind of James Loveland type of race. I mean, we've seen him just kind of hang around, have a quiet evening, and then next thing you know, he's in the top 5 at the end of the night. Still early on here, just about a third of the way through this race, but another quiet night for him, but putting in a good effort. And here is Seth Hatchell trying to now make a move on Alan Dice for the 7th position.
Yeah, I wonder if the pit stop was knowing that the 17 may be the car to beat, and you're just trying to do something different from those guys and see if you can get an advantage in any other way other than just outright pace. As he looks to the inside, should be able to complete the pass here off turn 4, and he will. And just to go back to your point, James Loveland into the top 5, he and Keith Mayato were 2 of the fastest cars on the long run. I believe that was last week or maybe the race before, but those 2 climbed through the field a couple of times, and already up here in the top 5 a third of the way into this one is a good sign for them if they do have similar long run speed as they have this season. But the top 3 starting to get a little too far out in front if they want to take advantage of the long run speed.
Yeah, and even Keith Mayato starting to pull away from James Loveland just a little bit now. 0.6 of a second separate those 2 drivers. Noah Mahalski starting to put a little bit of pressure back on James Loveland again here. Just taking a look at the lap times, I mean, those tires seem to be worth something for Seth Hatchell whenever he is in clean air. He's not running side by side or tucked right up behind another driver. he's able to put down faster lap times than your race leaders, but the biggest thing that he's just going to be fighting is clean air. As soon as he gets within a few tenths of that next driver ahead, it takes away a lot of his forward momentum.
Yeah, he is right there on the back bumper of Noah Mahalski now, though, and see what he's able to do as Loveland occupying kind of the middle groove, and you can see all of these guys. Oh, and there goes Alan Dice into the wall. He hooked it back to the right, and similar to what we saw from Chris Simard, and this may have damaged the suspension on the Shadow Planet machine.
Yeah, that was a pretty hard hit to the wall, and I think you're right. It looks like he is now struggling with that 5 car, that Shadow Planet car. Losing a bunch of spots here, is now dropped to the 11th position, and possibly, like you said, a little bit of suspension damage there for Alan Dice. So unfortunate. I mean, he had a really solid run going up there in the top 10. Still time if we do catch another caution to try to get that fixed and work his way back up, but it's going to be an uphill battle as long as he is fighting any kind of suspension damage or really just damage in general. Back up towards the front of the field, Seth Hatchell has been able to get around Noah Mahalski into the 6th position, so up another spot for the 8 car. Just continuing that slow, steady march up to the front. And now one of the things I'm noticing with the lap times is even when he is running side by side making a pass, he's still at least able to match the leaders on lap time. So if he can get clear of these next few drivers and get some clean racetrack in front of him, he may be able to start reeling them back in here.
Yeah, interesting to note as well, Braxton DeWeese was the fastest car. The lap prior, he was a 10th faster, this time a 10th slower. Keith Mayato and Seth Hatchell very quick on this lap, so keep an eye on the 36, maybe starting to pick up the pace here. He was faster than Bailey Turner and Adam Cabot, and Seth Hatchell, the fastest car on the racetrack. A big part of that too is he's kept it clean while getting through the traffic, and you can see here getting the nose just a little lower than his teammate James Loveland, continuing to close that margin up. But the gap starting to increase still between him and Bailey Turner. It's almost 4 seconds, so gonna have to find his way past a couple more of these guys and see if he can get back into the running for this.
And doing a nice job wrapping that line down on the bottom. Up at the front, though, Bailey Turner still 0.6 of a second ahead of teammate Adam Cabot. Doing a nice job maintaining that gap, but Seth Hatchell now back into the top 5, gets around his teammate there, James Loveland. So now the next car up in line will also be a teammate with Keith Mayato, although he is about 1.5 seconds up the racetrack ahead of Seth Hatchell. So a little bit of ground to try to make up now, but he's got some clean racetrack. We'll see what kind of lap times he can put down. The only other car he's really got to contend with is the lap car of Cody Maurer, but Maurer moving up the track, yielding that position to Seth Hatchell, and making that pass pretty easy for him.
Yeah, Loveland going to work to the inside really tight there in the middle of 3 and 4, but able to clear off the exit. And Maurer still struggling tonight. He is back to 1 lap down after getting the lucky dog and into the wall in turn 1, similar to what we saw happen with the 7, where he nearly got into the back of the car in front of him and sent it off into the wall on that end of the racetrack. Paul Hahn goes a lap down as well. He's got damage from the incident on the backstretch, and so still 18 cars on the lead lap. Zach Smith currently about a half lap down. He's battling with Rob Liedl, these guys back here 17th and 18th. And then a few seconds up the road, Jake Miller, Michael Jones, those guys fighting for 15th and 16th. So that's kind of your tail end of the field at the moment. And at the front of the field, it's still Bailey Turner.
Yeah, Bailey Turner now 39 laps led on the evening. And he's also the biggest mover of the race so far, up 5 spots from where he started. And just taking a look through our running order, the next biggest mover is Jake Miller back in 16th, that is up 4 spots from where he started. But yeah, Bailey Turner currently the big gainer of the race so far in that category. Just doing a nice job of working his way through the field, or working his way around the track right now. Good battle for position here between Angelo Ronis and James Loveland. Loveland up on the top side, trying to carry a little bit of momentum. but Angelo Ronas able to make the pass, complete that over in turn 3. Noah Mahalski also had gotten around Loveland. That battle was starting to heat up a little bit, so Mahalski now starting to set sail from these two drivers, and James Loveland may be struggling just a little bit with the handling of his car. He's lost a couple of spots here in recent laps.
Yeah, I think he was victim to the bump coming off of turn number 2 as well. He's got a bunch of damage to the right front quarter of that car, and that seems to have hit a lot of these guys. As they get off turn 2, the car gets light, starts to hook to the left, they turn back to the right, and the car just does not settle at all, and they keep catching the outside wall. And yeah, I mean, he gets into it right there again, just trying to probably overcompensate for the bump, and that is definitely affecting these guys here tonight. Eric Hutton, a driver I would expect to run up closer to the front on this track, has gained a position inside the top 10, and he's got his sights set now on the O2, and I would expect him to have good long run pace, maybe get up there and challenge for a top 5 before it's all said and done.
Yeah, I'm with you. I kind of expected to see Eric Hutton running a little bit further up towards the front of the pack, but he's starting to slowly but surely move forward, pick off a few spots here, and starting to gain a little bit of ground. Just behind this battle, got teammates here, Cody Atkins in the 55, and almost said Alan Dice. That is not Alan Dice in the 46. That is Dallas Sullivan. I'm gonna owe him an apology for that one later, getting the admins mixed up here. And just ahead of them, though, was another battle I was looking at that does involve Alan Dice and Dennis Faircloth there in the 83. Dennis starting to close in. We talked about just a few laps ago that Alan may have a little bit of damage on the front of that car from the hit to the wall that he had, and still looks like just struggling with the overall grip of that machine right now.
Yeah, the right front fender is caved in pretty good. We saw that to a few of these drivers, but that, again, victim to that turn 2 bump, and right now hanging on just outside the top 10. But I think he's going to need a pit stop and some fresh tires to get up there and try and make something happen. You can see the car is just getting so light on that end of the racetrack. And I'm used to seeing it in other cars that have a little bit more suspension travel, but these cars just do not really allow for anything like that. So as soon as you get light in the rear end, it is a scary moment.
Yeah, and the way that the suspensions are on these cars, it's not something that we're used to seeing, like you said, and they don't seem to handle bumps very well, and that proving to be the case here for these drivers tonight. It's Keith Mayato starting to close in here on Braxton DeWeese. This battle has been getting a little bit closer here, and Seth Hatchell is starting to work his way up towards this as well. He's now just 0.7 of a second back of Keith Mayato in this battle for position, and slowly starting to chop into the overall race leaders gap a little bit here as well. So, I mean, he's still got quite a ways to go, but if he can maybe get these two drivers in one shot here, if they start battling side by side, make that move up to the front a little bit easier, see if he's got anything for these guys. But still, as they run right now, still 3.5 seconds back.
Really interesting to watch Keith Mayato's approach as he's now gotten into the wake of Braxton DeWeese. He is sending it down into these corners. This time he's going to do a little bit of a different approach and goes up the racetrack, but cuts down. He's got a lot of front end turn in that 36. The 00 starting to fade here, so Keith will move on through to third. But you can see he's using the apron getting into turn number 3 to get that car to rotate. So some of these guys struggling with a tight sensation, with a loose off. I think he's trying to get the car to turn as much as possible, just like sending it down, using as much downforce as he can, and getting the car to rotate that way. As Hatchell now looks to the inside of Braxton DeWeese, and this should be a fairly easy pass for the 8 machine with the tire advantage. And Braxton probably just going to let him go here off turn number 4, and he will do that.
Yeah, looks like DeWeese is going to play the long game here as far as just try to keep the overall running position in mind, as Rob Liedl gets into the wall just ahead of this battle for position. It's up a little bit high in turns 1 and 2. And, going back real quick to that move that Keith Mayato made around Braxton DeWeese, the thing to me that was so impressive with that move is you talked about how much wheel he had put into it to get it turned down to the bottom of the track off of turn number 2. And that's the danger spot. I mean, you've got so much wheel cranked into the car. It's a bold move with the loose on exit of 2 that we've seen with the bumps and everything. So being able to do that and then navigate those bumps and not upset the car is a really impressive move out of the driver of the 36 there.
Yeah, I just didn't expect them to experiment so much, if at this point in the race, but obviously looking for whatever they can. Bailey Turner is gone. He is 2.6 seconds up the road, firmly in control of this race, and at the halfway point, looks like he could be on his way to a victory at the Rock. Adam Cabot still running back here in second. He looked like he was going to run away with it after he got out to about 2.5 seconds in the early stages of this race, but obviously really good on the short run, and the clean air was benefiting, but has not helped him at this point after having to pass a few guys and so far back now.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if maybe the loss of track position is what led to that, just pushing the tires a little bit harder than he wanted to. We talked about this being the repave. You're not seeing quite the level of tire fall off that we would have at the old Rockingham. Still about a second overall of tire fall off for the majority of the field. But yeah, it's really wild to me with this next gen car, just how important the clean air is. I've been racing them on Wednesday nights, and it's definitely a learning curve, and that's probably the biggest thing that I have learned so far is that as we're right at the right past halfway, and caution is out.
Cody Atkins.
Oh, yeah, that is Cody Atkins in the 55 that has spun over in turns 3 and 4. And that will put us back under the yellow flag as we take a look on the instant replay here. And yeah, another victim of the bumps over there. And it looked like he was trying to pull it down off the track, hopefully just lock it down, keep from bringing out a caution. But the car slides back up, and Jake Miller and Cody Maurer going up to the top side there to try to avoid the incident. Cody Atkins had his brakes locked, just trying to let the field by.
Take another look at it here real quickly, but I think it might have broken the suspension when he hit this time. That was a pretty hard hit. You can see the car kind of bouncing, and then we'll go on board here with Jake Miller as he was approaching this incident. Maybe couldn't see through the smoke, but yeah, sent it up into the outside wall. Same with Cody Maurer, had to go around. And those guys were just in front of your race leader, so that was a very scary situation for Bailey Turner.
Yeah, and I think you are 100% correct that the suspension was broken on the 55 car there, because I actually just heard Cody say over race comms the car would not turn. So I think that you hit the nail on the head with that one there, Adam. But that's going to open up the pit window here. This would get us to the end of the race for these drivers. So the entire field going to come down, take advantage of this caution to get 4 tires and fuel here. Take a look at the race off of pit road. We know that Bailey Turner had the wicked fast pit stop the last time. A little bit slower on this one, but still going to be able to win the race off of pit lane. Back behind them, though, Seth Hatchell now up into the 3rd position. Keith Mayato in 4th. Braxton DeWeese will round out your top 5 after the pit cycle. Noah Mahalski in 6th. Angelo Ronis will be 7th. Eric Hutton in 8th, Chris Samard 9th, and Dennis Faircloth rounding out your top 10 here after this pit cycle.
Yeah, nice clean cycle complete there, and they should be able to make it to the end, no problem from this point. And we'll see if we get the 1 to go this time around. Bailey Turner will be your race leader. Looks like the lights are off on the pace car, and he's going to pick the inside lane this time, so switching it up from the last time that he restarted us.
Yeah, a little bit of a difference here as we work the 3rd caution. Just the 1 lead change so far, as we had the lead change when we had the earlier restart with Adam Cabot spinning his tires. But a couple of teammates on the front row with Bailey Turner, Adam Cabot. A couple of teammates on the 2nd row, Seth Hatchell and Keith Mayato. And you got to think there may be a little bit of teamwork here between Bailey Turner and Adam Cabot on this restart, maybe why Bailey elected to take the inside. But again, I'm just curious to see how the tire spin works out on this restart. We'll see how these drivers manage that. The pace car is off, getting ready to go back green here at Rockingham. Great launch for Bailey Turner. He's going to get through to the lead. He's going to easily clear. And Seth Hatchell now looking to the inside of Adam Cabot for second. He's clear through. So maybe not a teammate restart there, but Adam Cabot now looking back to the inside, trying to cross over Seth Hatchell.
Yeah, Seth had the move complete and then hit that bump, and the car got upset. He caught it, but definitely cost him some momentum. As we have heavy battling behind them too. Chris Samard, Dennis Faircloth, Eric Hutton were all fighting for position inside the top 10. Cabot is going to complete the pass for second off turn 2. Nice run there for him. And still side by side, Dennis Faircloth and Chris Samard. Chris looks like he's going to back out of at 83 of Faircloth, who has been right on the edge of the top 10 or inside the top 15, trying to make his way forward here in the second half of the race. Also, James Loveland had an extended stay on pit road. Looks like they cleaned up that car pretty well on the right front, so look for him to try and come back through the field now, running 15th.
Yeah, we had documented that damage that he had on the car, so good idea to get that fixed here under caution. Side-by-side for position, though. Last spot here in the top 5. Noah Mahalski looking to the inside of Keith Mayato. Going to be able to complete the pass. We'll see if Mayato tries that crossover move, but not able to get it turned back to the bottom to try that. Now, Angelo Rona's putting some pressure on Mayato as well. So Keith Mayato losing a few spots here on this restart. He was in 4th when we initially went back green. Now back in the 6th position, in danger of losing that as well.
Yeah, he was so good on the long run, but it's going to be tough from this far back in the field. He's going to have to pass 5 cars to now get to the lead, rather than he was running in 3rd before the cycle. And so it's just not an ideal start to this run. Still think he's got top 5 in that number 36 machine, but going to be a lot tougher challenge to get up there and battle for the win. Meanwhile, Seth Hatchell, who is off strategy a little bit, he's down to just 1 set of tires. So if something comes out late in this race, or we get a couple of cautions here in the next 65 laps, right, he may be at a disadvantage, pretty heavy disadvantage as well.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have to manage that for the rest of the evening. The one thing he does have working in his favor is that these races do have a tendency of running green. BTDY, kind of known for that green flag racing that we see a lot of here. But right now, he's also got to be worried about Braxton DeWeese there, just breathing down his neck. DeWeese putting a ton of pressure on for that 3rd position, trying to stay offset just a little bit in the turn. This camera angle right here, though, I mean, you can see just how much that car is bouncing on corner exit of 2. Those bumps down the back straightaway. But yeah, it still seems like clean air track position is the name of the game. He got within a couple of tenths of Seth Hatchell and then just starts to lose the front end just a little bit. But Hatchell also riding right in the wake of Adam Cabot, as he's now just about a 1/10 back. And it looks like there was also, I just kind of noticed an issue with the 22 of Angelo Ronas. I'm not sure if he blinked out, maybe a connection issue, but just dropped down the running order, and not seeing him on track. And he also wasn't really showing up on our scoring pylon there either. So a strange issue. Not sure what happened with him there.
Yeah, it looks like he's back now, but was gone for about a lap, and not a good sign for the drivers around him. If you want to start racing somebody who you're not too sure about their internet connection, as he blinks out again right there. So maybe having a technical problem on his end. There's some storms going around. We were talking about it up here in Montreal. It went from 60 degrees to 14 degrees and 50-mile-an-hour winds, and I know that there's even worse winds across parts of the U.S. Here today. So it could be internet connection issue, but he has dropped out for the moment. And Eric Hutton under heavy pressure from Chris Samard right behind where the 22 keeps popping in and out.
Yeah, Chris Samard starting to heat this battle for position up just inside the top 10. And Chris is another driver that's had a few incidents here this evening, a couple of wall scrapes, running into those bumps on the back straightaway, but doing a nice job hanging on to it here inside the top 10 and just riding right on the back bumper of that 88 of Hutton, but not quite close enough to try to drive down into the turn, maybe out brake Eric Hutton. And I'm wondering, you talked about this earlier in the race, Adam, that these drivers are hitting the rev limiter before they get to the end of the front straightaway. So I'm wondering how much that's really hampering their ability to try to make passes down into turn number 1. And you can really see it here on the onboard with Seth Hatchell, as he's actually using 4th gear over in turns 1 and 2. But before he got to his lifting and braking point there in turn 1, I mean, he was definitely on the chip. He was maxed out right at 9,000 RPM.
Yeah, we'll listen to it right here. I mean, you can see it on the tack. They're on the limiter right there. It sounds a little different in these Gen 7 cars. Instead of it kind of bouncing off, it's a softer limiter. It kind of just, falls off basically at the top end. And that's what's going on. And definitely interesting to see. Not something we're used to seeing with these cars having so much horsepower now. It may just be something that the iRacing fixed setup gearing is not adequate for the additional horsepower. And that is affecting them here definitely on that side of the racetrack. On the backstretch, not as big an issue. But yeah, getting into turn 1, you can't use that extra little bit of momentum because everybody just kind of levels out halfway down the straightaway. So definitely making it more of a challenge.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And the other thing that I'm kind of wondering with that too is, we talked about how there was a repave and a rescan. It almost makes me wonder if they have the gearing set up for the old Rockingham, where they're anticipating you're going to be going slower. It's a more abrasive surface, less grip. So, just something kind of interesting that I was thinking about earlier with that, but purely speculation on my part.
Yeah.
I don't have the slightest idea, but I mean, that would certainly explain why we're seeing it though. But drivers doing a good job of navigating that so far. If you guys still figuring out how to make passes up through the field, Keith Maiato now trying to figure out how can I get back around this 0-3 car of Noah Mahalski. He looks like he's a little bit faster right now, and still kind of like you had pointed out earlier, he's wrapping that white line when he can. He's using the apron to try to help the car rotate whenever he needs to do so. And I don't want to call it an unorthodox approach, but I mean, it's a little bit different. You wouldn't anticipate somebody really using the apron at a place like this, where it does have a pretty decent amount of banking to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's high banking and it's high speed getting down into the corner, and you're using brakes. It's pretty sketchy to do something like that, especially in these Gen 7 cars, which don't like banking differences, right? They don't like to be on the apron when they're on the racing surface as well. So definitely not what you would expect, but he's making it work. Definitely struggling to get past the 03 right now. That's actually allowing drivers like Angelo Ronas, Eric Hutton, and Chris Samard to slowly close in, as caution is going to fly again. I think Alan Dice this time, possibly.
It looks like Alan Dice was actually on pit road previously. He had disconnected from the session, I believe, as you see there on the screen. I think it was the 18 of Cody Maurer caught up in an incident here. So we go back and check the VSPEED instant replay. And had a little bit of help on that one. That was the 52 of Jake Miller, gets into the turn just a little bit hot, gets into the 18 of Cody Maurer, sends him around. Not a whole lot that Maurer could have done there. And I mean, to Jake Miller's credit, he was trying to get slowed up and stay off of him. You could see the puff of smoke off the right front. He was definitely on the brakes trying to get that car slowed down, but just a little too late on the brakes. And that is going to put us under the yellow flag here. And the entire field coming down pit lane and choosing to come down and get tires here. So, you documented it, Adam, that Seth Hatchell is down a set of tires compared to everybody else. This is going to be his last set of the race. So this is going to be, unless he's caught up in some sort of incident, this is going to be his final trip down pit lane.
Yeah, both he and Chris Samard are going to be on pit road for the final time here, as we'll see who wins the battle off here. It looks like it is going to be Bailey Turner. Nice job there by him once again. And good pit stop by the crew, 14.4, one of the faster times. Hatchell into that third position. Braxton DeWeese going to take fourth away. We'll see if anyone gets any type of penalty or anything, but looks good so far for everybody here in the top 10. But yeah, Hatchell in an interesting position. I wasn't sure if anyone would try 2 tires just to get some track position. You know, it's a long ways from here. It probably wouldn't work out, but it's a roll of the dice that, you know, could gain you a few spots.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like if we were maybe inside of 20 laps to go, we may have seen somebody try it. And
looks like teammates trying to fight for that bottom line on the restart here. That's Adam Cabot says that he wants it, and he goes all the way to the apron, but I think Bailey's already claimed it.
Yeah, Bailey Turner, the leader of this series, gets lane choice on the restart, saying he wants the bottom. Adam Cabot saying, "You sure about that? You sure you don't want to let me have that one?" Yeah, just got to kind of laugh a little bit when teammates are, I don't want to say messing with each other, but you know that's what they're doing. But getting ready to go back green here with those teammates on the front row. Seth Hatchell will line up in third, and then you've got Braxton DeWeese in the fourth position. So another opportunity for a restart here. We've seen Bailey Turner has been really lights out when he's been the control car, getting out to a really good lead. See if he is able to do that on this restart as well. So get ready to go back green. Green flag is in the air, and it is indeed another good start for Bailey Turner, but yellow flag is back out immediately after we get rolling here. And I'm not sure if it looked like maybe the 52 was stopped near the back of the pack trying to let people by. Not sure if that's what brought out the caution or if it was something different. It looked like he was trying to pull to the side.
Nope. Cody Maurer goes around.
No.
Yeah.
That would be the 18 of Cody Maurer there. That is really strange. And just with the speed they were running and where that was at. And, you know, Cody Maurer's got to be thinking, just get me out of here. I never want to see this racetrack ever again. It has not been the night at all that he is hoping for.
Yeah, definitely didn't expect this. You know, he's had some really strong runs this season, but yeah, 52 pulls down. 18 gets on the throttle. He's got a heavily damaged car, so that could be contributing to that as well. May have suspension issues. And ultimately, yeah, loops it around, heavy hit to the outside wall, and that will, I think, be his race done and over with. I'm not sure if they still have the 3-strike rule. But meanwhile, Seth Hatchell is going to restart on the front row. He was able to get past the 17 of Adam Cabot before the yellow flag flew.
Yeah, so even though we had just taken the green flag, he was able to complete that pass for second. He was ahead when the caution came out. So that'll put Hatchell in second, Adam Cabot in third, Braxton DeWeese in fourth, Keith Mayato in fifth. I almost, if I'm Seth Hatchell, though, I'd almost rather be in the third position because now you just kind of feel like those teammates lining up nose to tail on the inside. They'll be able to count each other down, get a good launch on this restart. Or maybe not. Bailey Turner might say, hey, I ain't counting down Adam Cabot at all. He's won enough this season. I'm going to try to get this one for myself. But, yeah, it's just you would almost rather be able to line up behind the control car and kind of time that up a little bit better.
Yeah, you'd think so. And it definitely wasn't intentional by Adam Cabot to restart here in third, but I think it may be to their benefit. It looks like Bailey's probably going to pick the inside. He's had very good luck here the last couple of times. He is going to stay down low. So Seth going to have a shot to time it here, but nobody has been able to get a good restart alongside the race leader. And even the race leaders tonight have not been able necessarily to get away instantly, with Adam Cabot having his issue. And you can see even Bailey Turner, that car is dancing when he gets on the throttle. It's just he's been controlling it very well. So yeah, we'll see what Seth can do if he can anticipate it, you know, better than anybody else has tonight. So
yeah, and he's also in that danger zone on the outside lane where we have seen a little bit more tire spin on these restarts. So something he'll have to manage here on this one as well. 5 cautions on the evening, just the 1 lead change earlier in the night, which did come on a restart. So this might be the best opportunity for these drivers to try to get up and take this lead away from the 24 of Bailey Turner. Going to give it another go here to get this race refired. Green flag back out in the air. It is another good start for the race leader, Bailey Turner. Not quite as big a jump as what he had on the last one. Seth Hatchell tried to hang on the outside with Adam Cabot, but it looks like Cabot is going to try, but not quite able to clear through. Behind them, though, contact into the wall for the 0-3 of Noah Michalski. A pretty big hit. The 0-0 is around. Braxton DeWeese keeps it off the wall. He's got the brakes locked and everybody able to miss him. I don't think he actually hit anything in that exchange, but we are back under the yellow flag here.
Yeah, maybe a little contact with the 36, and you can see the 0-3 of that bump off turn 2 as they get down into the corner. He just lost it, got the back end loose. No contact at all, and man, what a job by Noah Michalski getting through there. That is as tight as it gets, and good job by everyone else to avoid there.
Yeah, we got to see the onboard from Noah Michalski's point of view from that, because there was barely a car width there, but he found a way to get through it. And this was after he had his own hit to the wall here. He got bit by the bumps. You could see visibly the damage on the right front of the car. And then he just takes evasive maneuvers here and, wow, I mean, threads the needle between himself, the wall, and Braxton DeWeese, but able to get through there. And, yeah, I'm still in a state of shock, and I did not even see that. What happened to the 17? You're so focused on Braxton DeWeese that something happened with Adam Cabot on the front straightaway.
Oh, my goodness.
That he got into the wall.
A huge hit as well.
Well, this is going to take a little unpacking here for the pole sitter. And it looks like he just gets loose and into the outside wall.
And
Seth Hatchell, I think, missed it. Wow.
Yeah, 2 of our top 4 drivers spinning in the same corner. That is completely unexpected. I'm not sure if the track conditions changed a little bit and they just weren't anticipating. Maybe it's the cold tires, right? I mean, this was a much slower slide, and then classic next-gen overcorrect there. Nothing that
you could really do. How did Seth miss that?
Yeah, I'm going to go on board here with him, and we'll see what happened. He did actually make any contact, but I think he missed it entirely.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that he missed this entirely. We'll find out here in just a moment. He sees Adam Cabot get loose and broadside in front of him. Okay, there was just a little bit of contact there. You can see the right front kind of morph just a little bit, and then it pops right back out. So he should be fine on damage as far as that goes. But, I mean, wow. We're already getting ready to go back green here.
Goodness. So much to break down there.
Yeah, just crazy. It is not every day you see 2 of your top 4 drivers in the race have separate incidents like that at the same time. But here we are, getting ready to go back green. Bailey Turner still your race leader with Seth Hatchell to the outside. Second row now is Keith Mayato and Angelo Ronas. Look at Chris Samard all the way up into the 5th position now. Green flag is back in the air. We're back underway here. Bailey Turner with a good jump side by side for second now. Is Keith Mayato able to clear through for that position? And Angelo Ronas trying to see if he can take advantage as well.
Good run off turn number 2 for Seth Hatchell to get back to the bumper of the 36 machine. We'll also have to keep an eye on Braxton DeWeese, who restarted at the tail end of the field pretty much. So he's already up to 12th. He's completed a couple of passes and trying to get back up there. We'll see if he can get to the top 5 before it's all said and done. But, man, what a close call for him and so many in the last few laps. They've got to refocus here and set their sights forward. Keith Mayato, though, this is playing pretty well into his hands based on what we saw for the long run speed. You know, he's got cleaner air or closer, you know, to the front air, and that is going to help him now 35 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, it's going to help out that he doesn't have quite as much traffic to contend with. And, you know, with some of these front runners running into issues, a couple of new names in the top 10. You see Rob Liedl now in the 10th position, although he does have Braxton DeWeese starting to close in for that final spot in the top 10. Dennis Faircloth now up into the 7th position. It's turning into a really solid night for him. Dallas Sullivan there in the 9th position. He's currently your biggest mover of the race, up 8 spots from his original starting position. So he's taking advantage of some of this calamity as well, in addition to just having some pretty good pace here this evening, working his way up through the field. Starting to close in here on James Loveland for 8th as well.
Yeah, and Dallas was involved on that backstretch incident. Spun it around, went to the back of the pack, and yeah, he's worked his way forward just a bit. Rob Lidl, though, kind of keeping at it here. I believe he had some right front damage and was a lap down during this race, so has gotten that all cleaned up now, getting passed for the 10th position by Braxton DeWeese, who's bringing Noah Mahalski with him. And Noah had that issue at the same time pretty much, and there's contact.
Oh, Lidl into the wall. I don't think it's going to bring out a caution because the car's straightened back out.
Heavy damage.
Big damage to the 80 car there. And that is pretty much going to be a night ender for him.
I'll take the commentator curse on that one.
Yeah, for once it wasn't me throwing the commentator curse. But yeah, it looked like Mahalski just got into the turn a little too hot there behind the 00, was trying to avoid making contact. It looked like there was a little puff of smoke off the front tires where he was locking up, trying to get the car slowed down. Of course, Rob Lidl getting the worst of that, though. And what was turning into a good rebound night has gone south quickly for him. And he's going to bring it to the attention of the pit crew. But you can see James Loveland now gets around Dennis Faircloth for the 7th position. Dallas Sullivan trying to follow through as well. But the march forward continues here for Braxton DeWeese. And interestingly enough, DeWeese did not pit after he had that spin. Now, I know we didn't have a lot of green flag laps on the tires, but normally whenever you do have a spin like that, you want to come in and get those tires off the car. But DeWeese electing not to do that here, but still showing some pretty good speed regardless.
How about Eric Hutton up 4 positions from where he started? He's survived all the chaos over the last restart and has been able to kind of maintain his position. Was looking pretty good on the long run earlier in the race. So keep an eye on him to challenge for a top 5. Just under 30 laps to go. Chris Simard, Angelo Ronis, really hard battle right here as they dive down into turn number 3. Simard to the inside. Not going to be able to get quite the run through there that I think he was hoping for, but Angelo gets a little tight on the exit of turn 4, and now the 77 should be able to go on through.
Yeah, and it has been a really solid run here this evening for Chris Simard, maximizing the opportunity here. He had some struggles early on, has made contact with the wall, but now running just outside the podium in that 4th position. And see if he can work his way up a little bit further through the field here. Seth Hatchell, though, he's starting to close in on Keith Mayato. Talked about both of these drivers seeming to have really good long run pace, but I mean, it seems like Seth maybe has just a little bit better long run pace even than Keith does here. Both of these drivers about 0.8 of a second now behind your leader, Bailey Turner.
And something to note, Cody Atkins is out in front of the field here. He is 7 laps down. The car looks to be in perfectly fine condition now that they've gotten it cleaned up after some incidents in this one, but that could play an effect on the clean air of Bailey Turner. You know, as he gets a little bit closer to the 55, it'll start to equalize, you know, what he's feeling compared to these guys behind him. But right now, yeah, Keith kind of hanging on to the 2nd spot. Seth looks like he's a little quicker at this point in the run. We'll have to see if the 36 has anything kind of saved up to go up there and challenge. Bailey Turner firmly in control of this race. He's led over 100 laps, and he would hate to see this thing slip away late in the going, and right now doing everything he needs to do.
Yeah, he has put himself in position to take control of this race, keep himself ahead of the chaos that we've seen behind him. But he may still have a challenge from one of those VSPEED cars. Battle for second still going here between Keith Mayato and Seth Hatchell. And I'm with you. It seems like Seth is just a little bit faster right now, but just not quite able to complete that pass. And I mean, all 3 of our top 3 right now are really, really close on lap times. Just looking their last time around. Bailey Turner did start the distance a little bit on this last lap. He was 1/10 of a second faster, but before that, the top 3 were all within about 1/4 to 1/2 a second per lap within each other.
Yeah, and really basically everybody's running right around the 24-second lap. You know, these guys are high 23.9s, 24 flats. Bailey Turner 23.89 that time. Keith Maioto 23.89. So those guys equal on speed. And Seth just a touch slower, but I mean, he's right in the wake of the 36. Not a surprise there. Everybody else in the 24s, so they're going to have a hard time, I think, catching up to the top three, unless they're burning their stuff up a little bit too quickly. And remember, Seth Hatchell, Chris Smart, they're on their last set of tires, so you'd think they would be a little conservative on the short run and you know, try and preserve just a little bit more tire in case something happened. And we almost had that caution that could have really thrown a wrench in their race.
Yeah, I mean, the one flip side of it, though, is maybe if you can get the clean air and you can get out in front, you might be able to hold them off on the older tires, especially if you can get them cooled down under caution. But it would also depend on how long the final green flag run is as well. So something to keep in mind if we do get a late race caution, as we are inside of 20 laps to go. Taking a look here at the 0-2 of James Loveland closing in on Eric Hutton for the 6th position, and a big slide there out of Loveland off of turn number 4. Able to hang on to it, though. Some of these drivers looks like they are starting to struggle just a bit with the handling.
Yeah, classic spot off of turn 2. Everybody seems to be struggling pretty much all race long, but it really gets a lot worse as these tires get worn. You can see Loveland with the clean race car now starting to put down some really good laps, just a bit quicker than Eric Hutton and faster than the cars behind him. Actually, one of your fastest cars on the racetrack, so keep an eye on the 0-2 to try and get up there and get a top 5. Big moment for Dennis Faircloth. He'll slip down the racetrack, and that'll allow Dallas Sullivan to go around the outside. Hasn't quite completed the pass. Now he does off of turn number 4, so that's change for 9th and 10th. Then Noah Michalski got a pretty big hit to the backstretch retaining wall, is back up to speed here and trying to get back in the top 10.
Yeah, Noah Michalski did come down on that last caution, took a set of tires, and slowly working his way back up through the field. Looked like he did get some damage fixed as well, documenting those previous incidents and some contact with the wall there, but currently just outside the top 10, trying to find a way around Dennis Faircloth to get his way at least back up into that top 10, and almost contact there between the two of them. Thought the 0-3 was going to slide up the track just a little bit there into Faircloth, but nothing doing at the moment. Both drivers continue on as it looks like then he makes a little contact with the wall off of turn 4, so possibly struggling with the dirty air here a little bit behind Dennis Faircloth as well.
Yeah, everybody pretty well strung out in front of them, a few tenths of a second apart. That's kind of normally how these next-gen machines like to run. You like to have a little bit of space between them, as looks like they'll work around the lap machine. Cody Maurer still putting laps down out here. It's not been a good night for him. Almost gets in the wall again there. Actually is in the wall in 1 and 2. Just one lap down after everything that's happened here. That's, more power to him to keep it running and grab a few more points where he can. But Maioto still maintaining just under a second back from Bailey Turner, and now the 55 of Cody Atkins has gotten in between them. He's going to go to the outside, and it looks like he'll just let the top 3 drivers on by without interfering. It's a nice sportsmanlike move there as Adam Cabot goes a lap down. Not something we were expecting to see, but you can see that car heavily damaged. I mean, he's really struggling for pace right now.
Yeah, still just out there logging laps, trying to pick up any points that he can, kind of like you mentioned with the 18 of Cody Maurer as well. Both of those drivers, if they would have just decided to call it a night, could have potentially lost another couple of spots. And even though Adam Cabot's in a good spot, of course, do have those drop weeks, you still want to try to maximize every opportunity that you have out there on track. But getting down inside of 10 laps to go here, Bailey Turner still your race leader, but Keith Maioto has closed the gap up just a little bit here. Still just under a second. I mean, Bailey Turner's got a pretty good lead here going at the moment, but it is a little bit less than what we had earlier, but they're looking 3 wide, a little bit further back. Cody Maurer caught in the middle. as his two lead lap cars there trying to work their way around. That's Noah Mahalski going to be able to complete the move on Dennis Faircloth. That could have been a little sketchy there for those drivers.
Yeah, I was holding my breath. I mean, the 18 has had a hard time getting around here, you know, on his own, and then surrounded very tightly by two guys who are battling super hard. That is not a great situation to be in, but they survive it. No issues for anybody. I think Dennis Faircloth maybe not going to be too happy about it. I think he got slowed up by the 18 a bit more than the 03. But either way, they continue onwards, still running out there, and Adam Cabot still struggling a bit. 46-00, battling pretty tightly, and now James Loveland and Eric Hutton fighting for positions here inside the top 10. So a lot going on here as the closing laps are arriving, and meanwhile, Bailey Turner still maintaining about 0.8 of a second. Keith Mato has not been able to match lap times every single time, but he's still there in case Bailey makes a slight mistake.
Yeah, and if anything, it looks like Bailey Turner has started to stretch the lead back out just inch by inch over Keith Mayato. Mayato had it down to about 0.7 of a second a few laps ago, now back up at about a second, 1.1 at the moment. And Mayato was trying to run a little different line there, just searching for some grip, not able to find anything. Battle for fourth. Yeah, battle for fourth is starting to heat up here as well, as Angelo Ronis looking to the inside of Chris Samard. Samard had a big moment off of turn number 2 the last lap. He got pretty loose on exit, something that we've seen a couple of times out of him this evening. They're going to be side by side off the turn. Now it's Angelo Ronis' turn to get a little loose. Both drivers struggling for grip as they crossed over the bumps.
Yeah, another change for position. Dallas Sullivan did get by the 00 Braxton DeWeese, so he'll move up to the 8th position. Noah Mahalski got into the wall, also off of turn number 2. This race is not over yet. I mean, we could see any one of these battles or any one of these drivers make a mistake, like we've seen so many do already tonight. And that could change things entirely. I mean, Seth Hatchell would have to live with the old tires, and it could get very interesting at that point. Chris Samard still hanging on the 4th here, but Angelo trying to find that way around. He's doing all kinds of things here.
Yeah, he is trying to get that position. This is also allowing James Loveland to catch up to this battle as well. You can see a couple of drivers back behind making a little bit of contact with the wall. Dallas Sullivan was able to get around Braxton DeWeese and get back up into the 8th position, and is starting to close in on Eric Hutton here. Just 0.3 of a second between those two drivers. It's Angelo Ronis now looking up the track, trying to find any bit of grip or speed that he can here.
Yeah, Bailey Turner's probably like, hey, put the camera on me. I've been dominating this race, but, you know, you don't get as much camera time when you stink up the show as bad as he has, but what a dominating performance, and he'll get his flowers here at the end, that is for sure. He's driven basically a perfect race once he's gotten to the lead, no issues whatsoever. And he's coming back to the white flag, just hoping that he gets there and nothing happens on the racetrack to change that. And there it is, white flag. This race is going to be official here at Rockingham.
That was the first one that Bailey Turner was looking for, was the white flag. So we've got just one lap to go here at Rockingham, half a lap away for Bailey Turner from his first win on the season. I'll be honest, I did not think it would take him 9 races in to get there. But here we are at Rockingham, and in dominating fashion, the 24 of Bailey Turner is going to take home the win. Keith Mayato comes home in 2nd. Seth Hatchell is going to round out your podium here this evening. Chris Samard was able to hang on for 4th, Angelo Ronis in 5th. And on the last lap, Dallas Sullivan was able to catch Eric Hutton and was able to get him at the line by less than 0.1 of a second. So a close battle back for the 7th position there. Dallas Sullivan able to come out ahead on that one.
Yeah, great drive there by the 46, and great drive by the 24 of Bailey Turner as he's going to burn it down here on the front stretch. Like I said, his first win of the season coming a little later than expected. He's had his opportunities, takes full advantage here. Gets that first one. We'll interview him as well as the top 3. Adam Cabot nearly with the hit and run there. Well, 24 is celebrating, but what a race here from Rockingham. We'll interview the top 3 and go through the full race results right after this.
At Cynthia Rogers, MD Dermatology, we specialize in providing comprehensive expert care for the full spectrum of skin conditions, from complex skin diseases and skin cancer to aging concerns and aesthetic needs. With decades of combined experience in medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology, our team brings both deep clinical knowledge and a patient-first approach to every visit. Our practice focuses on developing personalized treatment plans tailored to each individual's skin, health, and life stage. We're located in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in the PSL Professional Center. Learn more or schedule a visit at floridaskindoctor.com.
Steel Graphics and Designs creates custom racing wraps and logos built for the real world and iRacing. From bold liveries to clean, professional branding, every design is made to perform on and off the track. Ready to upgrade your look? Contact Steel Graphics and Designs for custom wraps. Visit Steel Graphics and Designs on Facebook to learn more.
Backed by 70 years of experience, Duncan Water Systems specializes in commercial and residential water system testing, design, installation, and maintenance. Our mission at Duncan Water Systems is to provide high-quality water solutions to every customer. We pride ourselves on being responsive, honest, and customer-oriented. Our priority is safer water for you and your family. Contact us via call, text, email, or visit us at duncanwatersystems.com.
Welcome back to Rockingham Speedway. Go ahead and give you your full race results to see where your favorite driver finished here this evening. Coming home with the win is Bailey Turner in the 24. Keith Mayato comes home in second, with Seth Hatchell rounding out your podium. We'll hear from those three drivers in just a moment. Chris Samard in fourth. Angelo Ronas in the fifth position. In sixth is going to be James Loveland. Dallas Sullivan comes home in seventh, your biggest mover of the race, up 10 spots from where he started. Eric Hutton comes home in eighth. Ninth place is Braxton DeWeese, and rounding out the top 10 is the 0-3 of Noah Mahalski.
Finishing 11th here tonight was Dennis Faircloth. Finishing in 12th, Jake Miller and Paul Hahn rounding out the drivers on the lead lap in 13th. Michael Jones finishes in the 14th position here tonight. Cody Maurer able to salvage 15th out of it. Adam Cabot, your pole sitter, led the opening part of this race. Late damage there, hindering him to a 16th place finish. Cody Adkins going to come home in 17th. Rob Liedel finishing in 18th. Alan Dice going to finish in the 19th spot here and rounding out your field. Zach Smith taking it home early in 20th.
There you have it for your full race results. So we'll go ahead and get a word with our top three finishers, starting with third place, Seth Hatchell. This is Daniel and Adam up in the VSPEED booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Man, another really solid night coming home in third. Good points night here for you. We talked a little bit throughout the race about how you were on a bit of an alternate strategy as you burned an extra set of tires there early on. Just talk a little bit about that decision to get off sequence and what it was like trying to drive your way back up through the pack.
Yeah, I knew Bailey and Adam and probably Keith as well. They were all quicker than me all night, so I had to figure out something different, just to get on a different strategy to give myself a chance there towards the end. And then we got a bunch of cautions, but sort of figured something out. That run I was moving back through the field, I think that allowed me to stay towards the front for those last couple of restarts, but ultimately just didn't have the short run pace and the clean air, that especially Bailey had, and then Keith had a little bit. I was pressuring Keith a little bit there that last run. I was driving pretty aggressively, downshifting and whatnot. just to try and stay with them. And of course, tires fell away. But another third place finish, top three finish. Got to figure out a way to convert on these, but keep plugging away at it.
Yeah, I've been there before myself. I know how frustrating that can be when you're that close, and it just seems like you can't quite get up to that top spot on the podium, but still putting yourself in great positions. One of the things we saw throughout the evening from a lot of drivers was struggling with grip on the exit of turn two. Was that something that you were really fighting as well, and dealing with those bumps on that side of the track?
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely worse probably towards the start of the race before the track really rubbered in. But I don't know if the car was bottoming out or there's a couple bumps there, but definitely late exit too. If you're running the bottom as well, like further down, um, it would really upset the car. I think that's why you saw a lot of guys sort of doing a diamond sort of line, a late apex. So I didn't feel that so much in the middle of the race when the track was rubbered up, and then we had a couple of cautions towards the end. We picked all that rubber back up. I think you saw probably a lot of guys struggle a little bit on those last couple of restarts. So definitely something I was worried about, but kept the car underneath me all night. So happy about that.
Well, another solid run here for you coming home in the podium spot, P3. Congrats on that podium. Before we let you go, who do you want to thank or shout out for this one?
I want to thank you guys doing a great job with the broadcast. Got to thank Cody, all the admins, doing a great job running this league. Letting us come race here Tuesday nights, have a good time. Got to thank drivers putting on a great race for everybody to watch. All the sponsors that hop on board for this league, and my team VSPEED.
There you have it from the third place finisher, Seth Hatchell. Congrats again on that podium. We'll see you next week at Barber Motorsports Park.
All right, thank you guys.
And Adam, I believe you have caught up with our second place finisher, Keith Mayato.
Yep, I'm standing here on pit lane, Keith Mayato. This is Adam and Daniel in the booth. And man, coming up just a little bit short here, tonight. Very good long run pace. We've seen that out of you all season, but what was it going to take there, for things to fall your way tonight to maybe get up there and challenge Bailey a little bit closer?
To be honest, probably my short run speed. I think that was definitely a spot where I was lacking. I think the long run I was fine because I was able to make some moves in dirty air, but it was the short run speed. I kept losing way too much. I'm just not aggressive enough.
So we saw you become kind of like really aggressive on that one restart where you had a shot at the clean air, where you were battling really hard alongside the 24. And then as the run would go on, you seemed to be experimenting a little bit more with different lines on the racetrack, even using the apron a little bit, getting down into turn number 3. Just tell us about searching for the grip out there, and the next gen car having its challenges with the aero at a place like this.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult, especially it was pretty much single groove track, maybe like a 1.25, 1.5, not much. So I was just trying to get as much clean air on the front end of the car because everyone was drifting up half a lane. So I just tried to keep it down as much as possible. But then when I tried the second groove on that last stint there, I was like, yeah, there's nothing up here. It's literally just I'm just hoping for a mistake from Bailey at the end there to get a chance to make a pass.
Yeah, and it looked like maybe just stepped a little too wide there off turn 2. We saw so many drivers really struggling coming off of the banking there right up onto the straightaway, and drivers losing the handle all the way down the backstretch. Was that something you fought throughout the race tonight? Just kind of that lightness in the rear, maybe exiting the corner?
No, until I hit the apron. I hit the apron one time out of 2. That really upset the car. But I think it's probably because the car was fairly tight, and I'm pretty sure the guys that were getting loose off corner probably had a lot of wheel into it. I was being pretty patient, trying to save that right front. So yeah, I didn't get that feeling other than when I touched the apron. It got a little sketchy.
Yeah, definitely sketchy. A lot of guys getting damage here tonight, and it's going to be an interesting one next week. You're a bit of a road course ringer yourself, very strong on those types of racetracks. We go to Barber Motorsports Park. How do you feel about going out there in a NASCAR machine?
It's been quite some time. I could tell you, I've never been there in any NASCAR type of car. It's either been GT3 class. And my road course prowess, not as good as as good as it used to be. So I don't know. We'll see. Haven't been very good the last couple of road course races, and something up with, I don't know, something with the car. It's just not doesn't suit me. So I don't know. Maybe it'll work out for me at Barber Motorsports. I know it's a very technical track, so it should be very interesting, and I probably should practice for it.
Yeah, I think everybody's gonna have to put some practice in for that one. It's gonna be a big challenge for sure. It's not really you know a common one for anybody to race on, let alone in a next gen NASCAR. So yeah, excited to see how you do out there. But you come home second here tonight. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to yourself, Adam, Daniel, for doing an awesome job in the broadcast. Everyone at Below Double Yellow for putting on it was a very competitive race. I know it's single groove, but it was fun when on those restarts. But yeah, good job overall.
Awesome, Keith. Well, thanks for chatting with us here, and we'll catch you at Barber next week for a fun ride, I'm sure. That is your second place finisher, Keith Mayato, and now we're going to head to Victory Lane. And Daniel, I believe you're standing with our race winner.
And Bailey Turner, this Daniel and Adam up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, man, if somebody would have bet me money at the beginning of the season that I'm laughing on the broadcast right now. I could see where Adam Cabot almost committed vehicular manslaughter when you were going through your burnout there. But if somebody would have bet me that it was going to take 9 races for you to find Victory Lane this season, I would not have taken that bet. But you did it in dominating fashion. How were you able to control this race once you got up there to the lead?
Yeah, I kind of joked with Adam. I appreciated him kind of messing up his restart early in the race and getting me clean air, because I mean that's all it was really. I mean, Adam and I ran the same. We worked with each other in practice, trying to dial in how we want our car and everything like that. And we were running the same exact setup as far as brakes and things like that. And I think it was really just gonna be a battle of who was out front. And Adam always has such good takeoff speed. At the beginning of the race when he took off and he had a 15 car length lead over Braxton, I was like, man, I don't know who's gonna touch him today. And then, man, it was just as soon as you get clean air, it was gonna be real hard here in the single. And surprisingly, coming back to Rockingham and being a single lane racetrack was really shocking to me. I didn't expect. I mean, I knew they updated the track, but I didn't expect it to be so bottom heavy and just really a battle of trying to save that right front tire throughout the whole race. But yeah, like you said, I mean, 9 races in, it's I dominated with this car and SNR and felt really, really comfortable. And then they threw that update in, and that's right around the time where I took a break from the sim because I was getting burnt out on running all the time. And it's just taken me a bit to get comfortable again. And then when you got guys like Jeff Wright and Adam Cabot and Seth and Keith and all these guys are so competitive every week. It's a tough kind of matchup and thing. Hard to come in here and just with minimal practice and get it done. So yeah, I can thank Adam Cabot for messing up a restart for this one, I think.
Well, still did a great job leading 130 laps tonight. And, you talked about it being kind of a single groove racetrack, and something that we talked about during the broadcast was the car being on the chip down the front straightaway. So did that even make it more difficult to pass, since you kind of run out of motor, or really run out of car, I guess, before you get to the braking zones?
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely. I feel like you can nickname me Chase Elliott when it comes to qualifying this season. Starting kind of not mid-pack, about 6th or whatever it was. Those first few laps trying to set up passes, I'd build a huge run off of turn 4, and it would die about halfway down the front stretch. So that was, extremely frustrating. And like you said, I think the gearing choice was a little bit questionable, but just, running the bottom, really, I just started backing my pace up. I know dirty air is so effective when you're on a single lane racetrack in the next gen. Started backing my pace up to kind of not run away from Adam, just kind of keep him within that 6 to 8 tenths for the majority of the run until he burnt off his right front. And from there, just manage the race.
Well, awesome job. What a way to get your first win of the season in dominating fashion, leading the majority of the race. Before we let you go, who do you want to thank or shout out for this one?
Yeah, of course. Shout out to Adam Cabot. Appreciate him messing up the restart again. But no, I should shout out to him and Angelo and Eric. It's a fun time to catch up with these guys every Tuesday night, and we've all been racing with each other for going on 9 years. So fun to come out and hang out with the boys. Obviously, you guys up here in the broadcast booth putting on an entertaining show every week. VSPEED, BTDY admins, all the league sponsors. Just appreciate everybody that kind of puts this whole thing together and makes it a fun Tuesday night.
Well, congrats again on the win, Bailey Turner. We will see you next week at Barber Motorsports Park.
Appreciate it.
There you have it from our top 3 finishers. And that's going to do it for our coverage here. As far as Rockingham goes, it's really entertaining race, Adam. A lot of, a lot of side-by-side battles that we saw, a lot of close battles between drivers. Next week, though, I'm gonna be honest. I don't have the slightest idea what to expect next week. I didn't even know if I owned Barber Motorsports Park. I had to go in and check this past week, and somehow I do actually own it. I don't remember when I bought it, but if the last road course race that we had at Mosport was any indication, we could potentially be in for a wild one next week at Barber.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, cars upside down come back to finish second in that race, and that was Adam Cabot, who did not have, a race that he's going to be proud of here tonight after the accident there. But overall has had incredible speed, and he was probably the best car in that race, but had to come back from flipping over. Brody Hayes hasn't made a start, I think, since that. It's going to be interesting to see if he returns, but could be a new winner on the season, could be a repeat, and it is for sure a wild card. I'm very excited to see how these cars do out there. It's something I've never seen before, so always a fun time.
It is definitely going to be a first. At least I think that's probably a VSPEED first, sending the next gen cars down to Barber. So it's going to be a good one. We will be there with you guys right here on VSPEED. But that's going to do it for our coverage this evening. So on behalf of all the admins here at BTDY, for everybody at VSPEED, Bradley Cooper, Morgan Cook, Eddie Smith, of course you as well up here, Adam, running the production truck as well as co-commentary. Thank you also to Dougie Beard for those camera angles. My name's Daniel Cunningham. Join us next week as we head down to Alabama for race number 10, a little road course action next week. Good night, everyone.